Bomb of the day. Big news is shaking up the entire United Kingdom, and if you are on, near, or even just thinking about your state pension, you need to stop what you're doing and listen carefully, because what I'm about to tell you could directly affect your future. Beginning on the 1st of October 2025, 5 major pension reforms are set to roll out, and the impact will be felt by millions of people whether you are already retired, planning to retire soon, or even decades away from claiming your state pension. These are not small administrative tweaks buried in the fine print. These are fundamental reforms that could change how much you receive, when you can claim it, and even how your national insurance contributions are calculated. For some, this could mean a long-awaited boost, but for many others, it could mean a cold and harsh reality check on what retirement income will really look like in the years ahead. Now, let's be absolutely clear. Pensions aren't just numbers on a statement, or statistics buried in a government report. They are the very foundation of financial security in later life. They are the difference between a comfortable retirement and a daily struggle with bills. Imagine planning your retirement carefully for decades, only to find that the rules of the game have suddenly changed a year before you reach pension age. Imagine budgeting on the promise of the triple lock, only to find out the formula has shifted. This is why staying informed now is critical. It gives you the power to adapt, prepare, and maybe even take advantage of opportunities that those who are not paying attention will miss completely. So today, we are going to break down all 5 reforms, what's changing, why it's happening, and most importantly what it means for you personally. Whether we are talking about adjustments to qualifying years, new thresholds, redefinitions of the triple lock, or the government's strategy to cope with an aging population. This is about your financial future, your retirement security, and your ability to live with dignity in your later years. The United Kingdom is now standing on the brink of one of the most significant pension shake-ups in living memory. From 1st October 2025, the state pension will not look the same, and that isn't speculation, it's official. Behind closed doors, policymakers have been drawing up a series of reforms that will reach into every household, every paycheck, and every pension account across the country. Whether you're already drawing your pension, approaching retirement, or still years away, the countdown to October has already begun, and ignoring these changes could be one of the most costly financial mistakes of your life. Why is this happening? The truth is simple. The government cannot maintain the current system as it is today. Rising life expectancy means people are drawing pensions for longer. The pressure on public finances is enormous. The cost of living crisis has only made things worse, and years of budgetary strain have pushed ministers to the point where action is no longer optional. They have promised that these reforms are about sustainability, about keeping the system alive. But here's the tension. People want to know one thing above all else: will these reforms protect their retirement, or will they reduce it? That uncertainty is what has millions of pensioners, workers, and families on edge. We've already seen the hints. Parliamentary debates have dropped clues. Treasury briefings have signaled urgency. Leaked reports suggest the scale of what's coming. All of it points in one direction: the pension system is under strain like never before. Payments are rising year after year, but the gap between what retirees need and what the state can afford to provide is growing. October's reforms are being described as crucial, and that word has been chosen carefully. These are not just about today, they are about setting the rules for the next 20 years. That is why every single UK resident must pay attention, because October will not bring one single change, it will bring 5 reforms, all landing on the same day, together reshaping the retirement map of Britain. Let's look at them one by one. The first reform is the state pension age. Officially, we already know it's been creeping up first to 65, then 66, with further rises scheduled. But from October 2025, the rules are set to take another leap forward. And here is the bombshell. People who thought they were safe, who thought they were just months away from claiming their pension, may suddenly be told they must wait longer. This isn't speculation, this is backed by the cold, hard numbers from the Office for Budget Responsibility. Without pushing the pension age higher, the entire system risks collapse. For those approaching retirement, this change could feel like betrayal, like the rug being pulled out from under their feet. You planned, you counted down the days, and suddenly, the finish line is pushed further away. The second reform targets the value of the pension itself, and here we're talking about the triple lock. For years, the triple lock has been the sacred cow of UK pensions, a guarantee that payments would always rise by whichever was highest inflation, average earnings, or 2.5%. For pensioners, this has been a lifeline. But for the Treasury, it has been a ticking time bomb. In years of high inflation, like we have just witnessed, the triple lock creates enormous financial strain. The October reforms are not expected to abolish the triple lock outright, but here's the catch. They are expected to redefine it. Maybe it will be capped. Maybe it will be recalibrated with a new formula. But make no mistake, the annual increases pensioners have relied on could look very different in the years ahead. The third reform involves qualifying years, the bedrock of how you earn your pension entitlement. Until now, the full state pension has required a fixed number of national insurance contributions. But from October, that threshold may move. The government insists this is about fairness, that people should only get back what they put in. But critics ask, what about carers who left work to raise children? What about people who had gaps in employment due to illness or redundancy? What about the most vulnerable, who did not have the chance to contribute in the same way? For these groups, any shift in the qualifying year requirement could mean losing out, and the backlash will be fierce. The fourth reform addresses how pensions are uprated to match the cost of living. At the moment, inflation measures are the benchmark, but they are blunt instruments. They don't reflect the real basket of costs older people face. Technology might get cheaper, but what good is that if your biggest expenses are food, heating, and healthcare, all of which have soared? October's reforms are expected to bring in a new benchmark for uprating. But here's the question, will it truly reflect the reality of older households? Or will it be another formula that looks fair on paper, but leaves pensioners struggling in practice? The fifth and final reform is about long-term sustainability. Beyond age, value, and uprating, the government is expected to restructure how pensions are funded. This could involve shifting money, adjusting contribution rates, or changing how national insurance supports pensions. This reform may be less visible day to day, but in truth, it may be the most decisive. Because if the system isn't sustainable, if it runs out of money, none of the promises will matter. October 2025 is the government's line in the sand, their declaration of how they plan to keep pensions alive for the next generation. Let's not lose sight of the reality here. Every one of these reforms is not abstract policy. They are not footnotes buried in legislation. They will directly affect people's lives. For a retiree, they may decide whether the heating goes on all winter. For a worker, they may decide how many more years you must labor before you can finally stop. For families, they may decide whether elderly parents have enough support to live with dignity. These changes will be felt in every home, every town, every corner of the UK. And here's the most unsettling part. As October approaches, the government has been deliberately vague on some details. They announce just enough to keep the public aware, but they hold back on the fine print. That uncertainty breeds anxiety. Pensioners wonder if their payments will hold. Workers fear the goalposts will shift yet again. And everyone knows that until the reforms go live, we are left in limbo. But here's what you can do now. Prepare. Check your national insurance record. Find out how many qualifying years you already have. Look carefully at your projected retirement age and consider what happens if it rises. Budget cautiously, not optimistically. This isn't fear-mongering. These are practical steps that could shield you from being caught off guard. Because history shows us that with every pension reform, there are winners and there are losers. Some groups benefit. Others pay the price. The challenge is knowing which side of the line you will fall on. The media will spin headlines. Experts will argue. Politicians will make promises. But when the dust settles, what really matters is simple: how much money lands in your account, when you receive it, and under what rules. Everything else is just noise. So here is the bottom line. On 1st October 2025, the state pension system will not be the same. 5 reforms will land at once, rewriting the script for retirement in Britain. This is the truth, and it is coming fast. And before I leave you with this thought, if you care about your retirement, your financial security, and your ability to plan with certainty, then you cannot afford to sit this one out. Subscribe to this channel, turn on notifications, and stay informed. Because in this new era of pensions, knowledge is power. Those who prepare will adapt. Those who ignore the warnings will be left scrambling. The countdown has already begun. The clock is ticking toward October 2025, and when it arrives, nothing about pensions in the UK will ever be the same again.